You're now listening to How I Tamed the Billionaire Beast. Kindly state in the comment section what part of the continent you're watching from. Let's connect. Story synopsis. Elina Reyes has nothing left to lose when she barges into ruthless billionaire Nathaniel Cross's penthouse office. Her father is dying, drowning in medical debt, and she's desperate enough to make a deal with the devil himself. The contract: 1 year as his live-in assistant. Total obedience. No questions asked. The price: her father's debt disappears. The catch: she never expected to want the man who owns her contract. Nathaniel Cross built his empire on control, but Elina Reyes shatters every rule he's ever made. She's fire in his ice-cold world, defiance in his kingdom of submission. He tells himself it's just business, until the night he kisses her and discovers he's the one who's been tamed. But when corporate politics threaten to destroy her reputation and a rival CEO sets his sights on stealing her away, Nathaniel must choose between protecting his empire and fighting for the woman who's become his obsession. The security guard looked me over like I was a stray dog trying to enter Buckingham Palace. "You don't have an appointment," he said flatly. "I don't care." I squared my shoulders, ignoring how small I felt in this glass kingdom of billionaires and wolves. "Tell Nathaniel Cross that Elina Reyes is here, about her father's debt." That name made him pause. His eyes narrowed slightly. "He doesn't see people unannounced." "Then make this the first time," I snapped, surprising even myself. The guard sighed and tapped his earpiece. After a long pause, he looked up at me with disbelief written all over his face. He says, "Bring her up." I blinked. What? I hadn't expected that. Not so easily. But I didn't let it show. I nodded once, stepped into the elevator, and rode it up to the 70th floor, heart pounding with every floor that blinked past. This man, Nathaniel Cross, had never met me. But he owned my father. And today, I was going to change that. The penthouse office was unreal. High glass walls offered a panoramic view of the city, the sky bleeding into twilight behind him. Everything was dark: the furniture, the walls, the man himself. Nathaniel Cross sat behind a massive desk, fingers steepled, black suit tailored like a second skin. His dark hair was slicked back, jawline carved like it was sculpted in war. Cold, calculating, and disturbingly gorgeous. He looked up, and I froze. His eyes were ice. "Miss Reyes." His voice was smooth and dangerous. "I assume this is about your father's gambling debt?" I took a breath. He didn't gamble. He borrowed to pay for treatment. For chemo. That debt was manipulated. His brow lifted slowly. Manipulated? Or unpaid? I clenched my fists. You're a billionaire. You wipe out companies overnight. You could erase this for him. For us. He leaned back in his chair, studying me like I was an ant crawling across his boot. And why would I do that? Because I'm standing here asking you to. He laughed. Low. Cold. You barged into my building. You insult my business. You demand charity. Tell me, Miss Reyes. His eyes darkened. What are you willing to give in return? Silence. My cheeks burned. He stood, walked around the desk, and stopped inches from me. I had to tilt my chin up to meet his gaze. His voice dropped lower. I could call in the debt. Put your father on the streets. Or, he tilted his head, I could offer you a trade. My stomach turned. What kind of trade? 1 year. You work for me. As my assistant. Live here, in the penthouse. I swallowed. That's it? That's the contract. He stepped closer. Obey my rules, don't test me, and the debt vanishes. My breath hitched. And if I say no? Then we're done here. He turned, walking back to his desk. I'll expect repayment in full, with interest. My body tensed. I thought of my father in that hospital bed, the machines. The bills. The hopelessness. I hated this man, but I hated being powerless more. I'll do it, I said quietly. 1 year. He looked over his shoulder, lips twitching faintly. Good girl. I flinched at the words. He didn't miss it. The guest suite was bigger than our entire apartment. It felt like walking into someone else's life. Rich people's air even smelled different. Colder. Cleaner. Emptier. As I unpacked my tiny suitcase, I caught my reflection in the mirror. What had I just signed up for? The next morning started with his voice in my ear. Downstairs. 7 a.m. sharp. I barely had time to throw on a blouse before I rushed down to the private office lounge, where he sat reviewing something on a tablet. You're late, he said, without looking up. It's 7:02. I don't tolerate sloppiness. I bit my tongue. He didn't look up once, just started listing tasks in that smooth, commanding voice of his. I wrote them down like a robot, trying to ignore the heat under my skin. By the third day, I realized something terrifying. I didn't just hate him, I wanted him. Every time he brushed past me, every time he stared a second too long, my body betrayed me. That night, I brought him coffee. He was alone, sleeves rolled up, eyes sharp. Thank you, he said, without his usual venom. I paused. You're welcome. His gaze lifted. Locked with mine. Then he stood. Slowly. Like a predator. He walked toward me until my back hit the wall. My heart thundered. He reached out, fingers brushing a loose strand of hair behind my ear. His voice was low. You hate me, don't you? I whispered, yes. Good, he said. Then. His lips crashed onto mine. Hard, brutal, and hungry. And I kissed him back. My hands clutched his shirt, pulling him closer as his body pressed against mine, fire and rage and want mixing in ways I didn't understand. His hand slid to my waist, gripping like he owned me. Then. He stopped. Pulled back, eyes dark. Don't tempt me again, Miss Reyes, he whispered against my lips. Unless you're ready to pay with more than your pride. Then he walked away. And I was left breathless, aching, shattered. I didn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I felt him again, his mouth on mine, his body against me, his words like fire down my spine. Unless you're ready to pay with more than your pride. What did that even mean? Worse, why did it make me want him more? I found Nathaniel in the lounge the next morning, sipping espresso like nothing had happened. Crisp black shirt, no tie, top button undone. He didn't even look up when I entered. But I saw it, the slight twitch of his jaw. He remembered, so did I. I walked past him to the coffee machine, pretending I didn't feel his eyes burning holes into my skin. When I turned around, he was standing right behind me. I gasped. He smirked. Slept well, Miss Reyes? I swallowed. Fine, you were quiet last night. I had nothing to say. Shame, he murmured, brushing past me, his hand grazing my hip. You seemed quite expressive earlier. Heat shot through me. You kissed me, I hissed. You kissed me back, he said flatly, stepping closer again. But don't worry. I'm not in the habit of seducing my employees. That was a mistake. Mistake? The word stabbed. So why did I want to make the same mistake again? He gave me a packed schedule that day, probably to punish me, or himself. Meetings, emails, reports, more meetings. I barely sat for 5 minutes. But I noticed something strange. He kept watching me. Not openly. But I'd feel it, the weight of his stare. Like a silent claim. At lunch, I delivered reports to his office. Come in, he said without looking. I placed the files on his desk. Done. He closed the laptop and looked up. You learn fast. I'm not stupid. No, he said softly. You're not. Silence stretched between us. I turned to leave. Elina. I stopped. His voice dropped to that warning tone again. Don't wear that dress again. I blinked. What? He stood. Walked around the desk. Stopped close. The neckline. His eyes dipped to it. You know exactly what you're doing. I scoffed. It's just a dress. It's a distraction. From what? I challenged. He stared at me. From my rules, he said darkly. I clenched my fists. Maybe your rules are the problem. He moved closer. No, Miss Reyes. You're the problem. My heart raced. He was too close. Again. And I hated that I didn't hate it. I should fire you, he said. Then do it. I won't. Why not? His voice lowered to a growl. Because I'd rather keep you close, and suffer. He brushed past me and left me trembling. That night, I found a new set of clothes laid on my bed. Designer. Elegant. Modest. A silent message. I burned with anger. But I wore it. I didn't want him to win, but I hated how much I wanted to please him. 3 days passed. We didn't speak about the kiss again. But it was always there, buzzing under every word, every glance, every near touch. Then came Friday. The storm. Rain slammed against the windows like a war. I'd just finished organizing his files when the power flickered. Then, darkness. Great, I muttered. I pulled out my phone flashlight and stepped into the hallway. Mr. Cross? I found him standing near the fireplace in the lounge, hands in his pockets, staring into the dark. No backup power? I asked. He turned, and for the first time, he looked different. Tired. Human. There's a generator. It'll kick in shortly. I stepped closer. It's weird seeing you like this, I said quietly. Like what? Not in control. He turned fully. You think I'm not? I shrugged. You can't stop the rain. He stepped forward slowly. But I can control everything inside this room. I shivered. I didn't mean it like that. But I did. My breath caught. He reached out. Touched my face. Gently this time. Elina, his voice cracked. I don't want you, I whispered. Then don't. I can't, neither could he. He pulled me in, rougher this time. Our mouths crashed again, all heat and fury and need. His hands gripped my waist, mine slid into his hair. We stumbled backward onto the velvet couch, breath tangled, moans buried in kisses. His lips moved down my neck, my shoulder, slow, worshipful, possessive. You make me weak, he whispered. And I hate it. I hate you, I gasped. No, you don't. And he was right. We didn't stop until footsteps echoed in the hallway. He froze. I pulled away, panting. The generator kicked on. Lights flickered back. And I saw his face again, cold, guarded. You should go, he said stiffly. My heart cracked. Just like that, he was the beast again. And I was just the girl who let herself fall. I went back to my room. I stared at the ceiling all night. What the hell was happening to me? The next morning, he was back to being Mr. Cross. Professional. Distant. Ruthless. Like nothing happened. And I told myself I could do the same. Until I got a call from the hospital. Miss Reyes, the nurse said. My heart stopped. It's your father. He collapsed. I rushed to Nathaniel's office. I have to leave. It's urgent. My father. No. I stared at him. Excuse me? You don't leave without my permission. My father is in the hospital. And I have a $600 million deal closing in an hour that you're assisting on. I froze. Are you serious right now? He stepped forward. You signed a contract. I don't care about your contract. Then you'll care about your father losing everything again, he said coldly. My breath caught. That bastard. My hand shook with rage. You're a monster. Correct, he said without blinking. Now get back to work. I turned to leave. Elina. I stopped. His voice was quieter now. I'll send my personal doctor to your father. And I'll triple his care. But I need you here. I turned back slowly. Our eyes locked. It wasn't business anymore. It was something deeper. Messier. I nodded once. Fine. But inside, I broke a little. And when I sat at that desk again, typing like a machine, my tears fell silently onto the keyboard. It had been 2 days since he kissed me again. 2 days since I felt his hands on my skin, his mouth on mine. And 2 days of silence. Complete, suffocating silence. He hadn't spoken more than 10 words to me. We worked side by side like nothing had happened, like my body hadn't burned for him, like his hadn't betrayed him either. It was worse than anger. It was indifference. And it was killing me. That morning, I entered the conference room ahead of him to prep documents. The door opened behind me, but it wasn't him. It was her. A stunning blonde in a tight red dress that screamed wealth and sex appeal. She strutted in like she owned the building. And when Nathaniel walked in 2 minutes later, his face changed. He smiled. For her. It knocked the air from my chest. Camille, he said, voice low and smooth. She kissed both his cheeks, her hands lingering on his shoulders. I didn't realize I was gripping the edge of the table until my knuckles turned white. Did you miss me, Nath? She purred. Not particularly, he said, but there was a glint in his eyes. She laughed and sat beside him like they belonged together. She didn't acknowledge me once. I wasn't even furniture, I was invisible. The meeting went on forever. She touched him. He didn't stop her. I handed him a pen. His fingers brushed mine. No reaction. My throat tightened, but I held it together. Barely. After the meeting, Camille stayed behind. I started gathering papers when I heard her laugh, low, sultry. You still haven't tamed that little assistant of yours, she said. She looks like she might cry. She's useful, Nathaniel said. Nothing more. My breath caught. And shattered. I turned and walked out of the room before the tears fell. I stayed in my suite all evening, skipped dinner, and ignored every knock at the door. I hated him. I hated the way he made me feel. Most of all, I hated that I still wanted him. The next morning, I came down early. Too early. He was already there, in the kitchen, reading something on his tablet. Sleep well? He asked, not looking up. I didn't answer. Elina. I paused. Don't give me the silent treatment. It's immature. I turned slowly. What would you like me to say? That I loved watching you flirt with some perfect Barbie while I played the invisible girl in the corner? He looked up then, jaw tightening. That was business. She kissed you. She always kisses me. She touched you. And I didn't touch her back. Oh, so I should be grateful? His voice dropped. You're jealous. No, I snapped. I'm not. Liar. He stepped toward me slowly. I backed up until my spine hit the fridge. Camille means nothing, he said. She never has. Then why? Because I wanted to see what you do. I blinked. What? He smirked. I wanted to see if you'd finally admit it. Admit what? That you belong to me. My breath caught. I don't belong to anyone. He leaned in, voice a low growl. Then why do you flinch when I'm near you? Why do you hold your breath every time I speak? I don't. You do, he cut in. You're mine, Elina. Even if you hate it. I slapped him, hard. His face snapped to the side. Silence. Then. He laughed. Low and dangerous. I deserved that. Yes, I whispered. You did. He looked back at me. And something in his eyes cracked. I've been fighting this. Fighting you. But I can't anymore. He grabbed me. And kissed me. Harder than ever before. We crashed against the counter. His mouth devoured me, rough, hungry, wild. His hands roamed my body like he'd been starving. And I let him. I kissed him back like I hated him and loved him at once. When he lifted me onto the marble counter and stood between my thighs, I gasped against his mouth. This is a mistake, I whispered. So was hiring you, he said, undoing my blouse. But I'm not stopping. Neither was I. We tore at each other like it was the last time. And maybe it was. Later, I lay tangled in his sheets. His arm draped across my waist, his breathing slow. He looked peaceful. Almost human. I stared at the ceiling. What had I done? I'd crossed a line I couldn't uncross. He wasn't mine. He wasn't safe. And I was falling, fast. The next morning, I woke up alone. A note sat on the pillow. Back to business. Wear the black dress. 9 a.m. sharp. N. And just like that, the beast was back. But so was I. Only now. I wasn't afraid of him anymore. When I walked into the office in that fitted black dress, heads turned. Nathaniel looked up. Paused. His eyes devoured me. But he said nothing. Your coffee, I said, setting it on his desk. He took it. Thank you, Miss Reyes. Miss Reyes. My stomach dropped. He was cold again. And worse? I liked it. Because now. I knew the truth. He was addicted to me. And I had power too. It had been 3 days since I woke up in Nathaniel Cross's bed. 3 days of silence. 3 days of him pretending nothing happened. And 3 days of me pretending it didn't hurt. I kept my chin high, my voice steady, and my heart locked. If he could play cold, so could I. That morning, I wore red. A bold, backless silk dress that clung to my hips like sin. I caught my reflection in the mirror and almost didn't recognize myself. No more soft girl. He wanted fire? He was about to burn. When I walked into the office, I didn't look at him. Not once. I dropped his coffee on the desk. Morning, Mr. Cross. His eyes didn't move from his laptop, but I saw the flicker. The hesitation. You're late. It's 8:59. He said nothing. But his jaw clenched. Tight. Good, let him feel it. At lunch, I joined the junior execs in the cafeteria instead of dining in the private lounge like usual. I laughed at their jokes. Flipped my hair. Even let one of them, Jordan, brush a crumb off my cheek. Nathaniel walked past. Didn't say a word. But his eyes? If looks could kill, Jordan would have dropped dead on the tray line. Back in the office, he called me in. Closed the door. Silence stretched. Then. Is this a game to you? I blinked. I'm sorry? You're flirting in my building. I was eating lunch. With him. Jordan? I smirked. He's nice, and very respectful. His eyes darkened. Watch your tone. No, I said calmly. You don't own me. I do while you're under this roof. Then maybe I shouldn't be. He stepped forward. Slow. Dangerous. But I didn't move. He brushed a strand of hair behind my ear. I flinched, but didn't pull away. You want to be punished, don't you? He murmured. Maybe I want you to feel what it's like to want someone you can't control. His nostrils flared. Then he turned sharply and walked to his desk. You're dismissed. I walked out. But my heart was thundering. I'd stood up to him, and for the first time, he looked rattled. Later that night, I got a call from the hospital. Miss Reyes, your father is asking for you. I told Nathaniel I'd be gone for the evening. He didn't reply. Just nodded once. But when I returned, I found something on my bed. A single white envelope. Inside, a receipt for a private medical suite, already paid in full. I sat on the edge of my bed, shaking. No note. No message. But I knew it was him. The man who pushed me away, and protected me in silence. The next morning, I woke to shouting. A woman's voice. Don't lie to me, Nathaniel. She's just a fling, right? I paused outside his office door. Camille. Again. I shouldn't have listened. But I did. She's nothing, Camille said. You don't feel for people. You never have. Silence. Then Nathaniel's voice. Flat. Cold. I didn't, until her. The breath left my lungs. Camille screamed something and stormed out. The door flew open, and there he was. Frozen in the doorway. Both of us caught. Neither of us speaking. Until I whispered, is that true? He stepped toward me. Slowly. I told myself it wasn't. I've spent my whole life building walls, because feelings are weakness. I swallowed. And now? He stared into me. I'm weak, Elina. Around you. My heart cracked open. I reached for him. But just then, Jordan appeared at the hallway entrance. Hey, Elina, just wanted to ask if, oh. Awkward silence. Nathaniel's face shifted. Steel. Ice. I backed away. Jordan, I'll talk to you later. Jordan nodded and left. Nathaniel didn't speak. Just turned, and walked back into his office. Shut the door. And locked it. I stood there for a full minute. Numb. Then walked away, straight to the elevator. But before the doors closed, his voice came through my earpiece. Elina. I froze. You have 10 minutes to get back upstairs. And if I don't? A pause. Then, I'll come get you. I didn't go back. I needed air. I needed space. But that night, I found a box at my door. Inside? A key. To his private penthouse floor. And a note. You're mine. I'm done pretending. Come willingly, or be taken. N. I stared at the note in my hand. It felt heavy. Like ink and paper soaked in chains. Come willingly, or be taken. I should have been angry. Terrified. But all I felt was heat. Because no matter how many times I told myself to run, a part of me wanted to be taken. I didn't go up to his private floor. Not that night. I wanted to see what he'd do when I disobeyed. By morning, the air had changed. His mood stormed through the penthouse like thunderclouds. The staff moved quieter. The lights seemed dimmer. And when I entered the office, he was already seated behind his desk, black suit pristine, jaw sharp enough to cut glass. Elina. Just my name. No emotion. I said nothing. Sat across from him like it was any other day. He stared. I stared back. Then, without warning, he stood, walked around the desk, and locked the door. My heartbeat stuttered. Nathaniel. I gave you a choice, he said quietly. And I made mine. He stopped in front of me. You think this is a game? You're the one sending threats disguised as love notes. His jaw ticked. I don't threaten. I deliver. Then what are you waiting for? That did it. He yanked me to my feet. Lifted me onto the desk with a force that knocked the air from my lungs. His face was inches from mine, breath hot. You want to test how far I'll go, Elina? My heart pounded so loud I barely heard myself whisper, yes. His mouth crashed onto mine. He didn't hold back. There was no hesitation, no filter. Just hands, lips, teeth, control clashing with defiance. We broke apart only long enough for him to rip off his jacket, toss it aside, then grab my waist like I was the only thing anchoring him to the earth. I should fire you, he growled, lips on my throat. Then do it. I'd rather ruin you. You already have. He kissed me again, harder. We didn't make it to the bed. Didn't need one. Just the desk. The fury. The craving. Later, I lay in the afterglow, heart racing, hair wild, lips swollen. He was sitting on the edge of the couch across the room, shirt unbuttoned, hands resting on his knees, breathing like a man who'd run a war. I hate how much I want you, he said quietly. I hate how much I let you. He looked at me. Then stood. And without a word, he walked out. He didn't speak to me for 2 days. Didn't text. Didn't call. Didn't look at me during meetings. But I caught him watching me in the reflection of the boardroom glass. Caught the slight clench of his jaw every time I spoke to Jordan. Caught the flash of something almost jealous when I laughed at someone else's joke. And when I walked past him in a fitted gray pencil dress? He almost growled. Then came the party. A corporate gala for investors. I hadn't planned to attend. Until I saw the invitation on my desk. No note. But at the bottom, printed in silver foil, dress code, black. Presence required. Signed simply, and I arrived fashionably late. Wearing silk black that clung to my hips, open at the back, slid up the thigh. His eyes found me the second I entered the ballroom. From across the room, his expression didn't change. But his entire posture shifted, like his world had just been rearranged. I spent most of the night with other staff. Laughing. Toasting champagne. Then someone tapped my shoulder. I turned. Nathaniel. His voice was smooth. Dance with me. I don't feel like. That wasn't a request. My pulse jumped. He took my hand. Led me onto the floor. Slid an arm around my waist. And pulled me close. We danced. But it wasn't soft or sweet. It was a silent war. His grip firm. His jaw clenched. His eyes locked to mine like he was trying to read every secret I ever kept. You're playing with fire, he said. I thought you liked fire. I like control. And what if I take that from you? He leaned down, lips brushing my ear. Then I'll take everything else. My breath hitched. You scare me, I whispered. Good, he said. That means I matter. After the dance, he walked me outside to the private garden balcony. The city lights glimmered below. The night was too quiet. He turned to me. I need to know. Know what? If you're staying. I blinked. Staying where? With me. I froze. He stepped closer. I want you. All of you. No more contracts. No more pretending. But if you walk away now, I won't stop you. My heart pounded. He was offering it. Everything. The beast was laying down his weapons. But I wasn't ready. Not yet. I need time, I said quietly. His face barely changed. But his eyes dimmed. Then he nodded. 1 week. That's not. 1 week, he repeated. Then I'll ask again. And if I said no? He didn't need to say it. We both knew what he'd do. It had been 4 days since the gala. 4 days since Nathaniel gave me 1 week to decide if I was staying. I took the time. I needed air. Distance. Silence. So I left the penthouse and stayed at a small hotel in Midtown, far from the Cross building, far from his gaze. He didn't call. Didn't text. Didn't send notes or keys or ultimatums. But I knew him too well by now. He was waiting. Still burning. Just quieter this time. On the 5th day, I walked into a bookstore cafe near the park. Somewhere quiet, where no one knew who I was. That's where I met him. Nate. He smiled like sunshine, disarming and kind. Tall, dark hair, soft brown eyes. Nothing like Nathaniel. "Is this seat taken?" he asked, gesturing to the chair across from mine. I should have said yes. Instead, I said, "Go ahead." We talked for nearly an hour. About books. Music. Coffee. Life. He didn't stare too long, didn't try to control the conversation. Didn't make me feel like I was balancing on the edge of a knife. He was easy. Safe. And when he laughed at one of my dumb jokes, I realized I hadn't laughed like that in weeks. He looked at me for a long second and said, "You have the saddest eyes I've ever seen." I blinked. "You hide it well," he added softly, "but you're tired of pretending." He wasn't wrong. We exchanged numbers. I didn't tell him where I lived, who I worked for, what I'd done. Just my name. Just Elina. And for a few hours, I remembered who I used to be, until I returned to the hotel. And found Nathaniel sitting in the hallway. Back against the wall. Sleeves rolled up. Eyes unreadable. A glass bottle of scotch beside him, nearly empty. "Nathaniel." He looked up. Didn't speak. Just stared. I stepped closer. Slowly. "What are you doing here?" He held up a phone. "Mine." "You left it at the penthouse." "You came all the way here for my phone?" "No," he said hoarsely. "I came for you." I crouched beside him. His eyes were bloodshot. His jaw tight. His tie missing. He wasn't the beast tonight. He was the man underneath it. "I saw you," he said quietly. My stomach twisted. "Saw me?" "At the cafe. With him." My mouth went dry. "You followed me?" "Watched you smile like I never made you." I stood quickly. "Nathaniel, that's..." He rose too. Fast. Swayed slightly. "Do you love him?" "I just met him." "Do you want him?" I didn't answer. Because I didn't know. I wanted peace. And Nathaniel Cross was anything but peace. He grabbed my hand. "I'll say it once, Elina. Once. And if you walk away after this, I won't chase you." I looked up. He was trembling. "I love you." Silence. He'd never said it before. Not like that. "I hate what you've done to me," he whispered. "But I'd let you ruin me 100 times over just to keep you." Tears stung my eyes. "Nathaniel. I can't breathe when you're not near me. I can't sleep. I can't think. You've turned my whole world inside out, and I don't want it back the way it was." I stepped closer. His hands came up, cradling my face like I was something sacred. "Say you'll stay." My heart thudded. I could say yes. Fall back into his arms. Into the chaos. Into the danger. Or I could walk away, and maybe never feel alive again. I opened my mouth. When the hallway door in front of us opened, Nate stepped out, holding 2 coffees. His expression froze the second he saw us. I didn't know he had followed me back to my hotel. "Elina?" he asked gently, confused. Nathaniel turned. His face? Stone. Cold. Lethal. Nate glanced between us, clearly reading the tension. I was just heading back. Thought I'd bring you something," he said, lifting the coffee in his right hand. Nathaniel stepped forward, slowly. I moved between them. Nathaniel, don't. He was in your hallway. I didn't know he followed me down, I snapped. That's it. Nothing happened. You smiled for him. You told me I had 1 week. Nathaniel looked like he'd been punched. You're right, he said tightly. You did. His gaze shifted to Nate, burning, sharp. I don't share, he said flatly. Good, I shot back. Because I'm not yours to pass around. He stared at me, breathing unevenly, then stepped back. A pause. Then, I won't fight for what's already mine. And just like that, he turned, and walked away. I didn't see him for the rest of the night. Didn't sleep. Didn't text him, because deep down, I wanted him to call me. Just once. But he didn't. Until morning. A single message. Boardroom. 10 a.m. sharp. Bring everything. N. The message was simple. The tone was not. Boardroom. 10 a.m. sharp. Bring everything. N. I stared at it for 5 full minutes. There were no emojis. No kisses. No hints. Just a demand. The man I kissed. The man I gave my body to. The man who said he loved me, was summoning me like an employee again. At 10 a.m. sharp, I walked into the boardroom. It was full. Senior executives, department heads, and a few investors. Nathaniel sat at the head of the table, unreadable as ever, in his signature black suit. He didn't look at me. Didn't acknowledge my presence. I sat. Quiet. Composed. Heart racing. He started the meeting like nothing was wrong. Today we're reviewing new campaign strategy projections, he said. Elina, distribute the launch portfolios. So I did. Silently. Like the good little assistant. But I felt every stare. Every whisper behind every smile. They all knew. Maybe not everything. But enough to sniff a shift in power. And someone was going to challenge it. 20 minutes in, it happened. Sasha, head of marketing, bold, blonde, and always half a breath from insubordination, raised her hand. Forgive me, she said, eyes sharp as a scalpel, but I'm unclear, what exactly is Miss Reyes' title now? The room stilled. Nathaniel's jaw ticked. She's my executive assistant, he replied coolly. Right, Sasha said, eyes sliding to me. Only, I've noticed she's been attending high-level meetings, redlining campaign proposals, and responding on your behalf to investor queries. She smiled. Unusual, for an assistant. My throat tightened. Nathaniel didn't flinch. If I assign her to handle top-tier responsibilities, he said, that's my decision. But there's talk, Sasha said sweetly. That her position is based on something other than qualifications. The insinuation cut through the room like a blade. I felt the heat rise up my chest. My ears. My face. She was calling me out. Calling me a mistress with a nameplate. And Nathaniel? He said nothing. My fingers curled on the table. I stood. Quietly. Slowly. The entire room turned. If anyone has questions about how I got here, I said, voice level, you're welcome to ask me directly. Sasha smirked. So it is true, then? I got here by working 16-hour days, I said. By learning faster than anyone in this room thought I could. By carrying half this department's weight while others filed their nails. Sasha stiffened. I've made mistakes, I continued, but sleeping my way into this room wasn't one of them. Eyes turned to Nathaniel. Waiting for him to speak. To defend me. To confirm what I meant to him. But he just sat there. Silent. Like a coward. I looked at him. He looked at me. And in that moment, something inside me broke. Because I realized, he wasn't going to save me. Not here. Not now. Not ever. I resign, I said clearly. Gasps echoed around the room. Nathaniel's head jerked slightly. His fingers twitched. Elina. I held up a hand. I'm done. And then I walked out. He didn't follow. I packed in 20 minutes. No tears. No goodbye. No note. I booked a flight for the next morning. Somewhere warm. Somewhere quiet. Somewhere not him. That night, I got a text. From an unknown number. You're making a mistake. I blocked it. The next morning, I was halfway through airport security when I heard my name. Elina. I turned. Nathaniel. Disheveled. Breathless. Suit jacket missing. Tie undone. Running toward me like a man with nothing left to lose. Elina, stop, please. I froze. Security looked alarmed. He didn't care. He stopped right in front of me, chest heaving. Don't go. I stared at him. Now you show up? I didn't speak in that room because I didn't want to make it worse. You made it worse by staying silent. I thought you didn't want to be seen as mine. I am yours, I said, voice trembling, but I won't be shamed for it. His eyes softened. I never wanted you to be shamed for it. Then why did you let them humiliate me? He stepped closer. Because I was scared. Of what? Of loving you too loudly. I laughed. A bitter, broken sound. Too late. Elina. I stepped back. You think love is enough? You think a few words can fix everything you broke? I'll do anything. Then let me go. He froze. Like I'd stabbed him. Security glanced over. He looked at me one last time. Eyes bloodshot. Mouth tight. Chest rising and falling like he was choking. Elina, goodbye, Nathaniel. And I walked away. Didn't look back. Didn't board the plane crying. Didn't fall apart. But deep down, I knew, he'd feel my absence like a wound that wouldn't heal. Nathaniel's POV. She walked away. She didn't look back. Didn't hesitate. Didn't flinch. Just said goodbye, and left me standing there like I was nothing. Like I hadn't loved her the only way I knew how, destructively. I went back to the penthouse and wrecked it. Shattered a glass. Threw a chair. Yelled at no one. The silence made it worse. I hadn't realized how loud she'd made my world until she was gone. 2 days later, the board was already whispering. Elina resigned? Did they have a falling out? Is she suing? Sasha smiled too much in meetings. Jordan didn't say a word to me. Good. If he had, I might have broken his jaw. I tried calling her. Once. The number was disconnected. I emailed her. The message bounced back. She was gone. The type of gone I couldn't buy my way into. I tried to work. Couldn't focus. I sat through strategy calls and stared at the clock, waiting for a laugh that never came. I found myself rereading emails just to see her name in the sent by. I hadn't realized how much I needed her until she wasn't at my side, correcting my tone, whispering reminders, handing me coffee like it was a peace treaty. A week passed. Then 2. I tried dating. The kind of women I used to entertain, polished, cold, high-powered. I took one to dinner. She wore red lipstick and spoke with precision. I nodded through her conversation, pretended to care. Then I paid the bill and left halfway through dessert. Because all I could think about was how Elina ate tiramisu with her fingers when she thought no one was looking. I went back to my office and stared at her old desk for 2 hours. Then I hired a new assistant. She lasted only 4 days. Too eager, too cold. Too not Elina. I fired her after she corrected my schedule in front of a client. She cried but I didn't blink. Camille cornered me in the elevator the next morning. You look like hell, she said. Then stopped staring. She's not coming back just because you're sulking. Mind your business. I always do, she said, but you should know, there's a rumor she got offered a job at Valtan Industries. I stilled. Valtan. My rival. Run by Tristan Kane, the kind of man who smiled with daggers in his teeth and made a sport of stealing what wasn't his. And now Elina? No. Not her. Not my Elina, playing secretary to a man who would use her like a weapon against me. It wasn't just business anymore. It was war. I sat alone in the dark that night, playing the only message Elina ever left me, saved in my voicemail. It was short. Just her laughing. Telling me she bought the wrong coffee creamer. And that she was sorry. And that she'd make it up to me. She already had. By existing. And I destroyed it. The next morning, I shaved, put on the black suit she once said made me look too delicious for a boardroom. And scheduled a press conference. Time to fight for what I lost. Even if I had to burn everything else to get her back. Thank you for staying tuned and listening till the end. If you enjoy this story, kindly leave a comment on your favorite part and don't forget to subscribe. Watch out for part 2.